Hagar the Horrible. He must be pretty nasty to have such a moniker, when you consider that the average rap sheet of your average Nordic pillager is pretty grim. Let's hope his game is more Hagar the Fantastic or Hagar the Exquisite than Hagar the Horrible. As it's a Euro platformer, probably the best we can hope for is Hagar the Pleasant. Hell, I'll even accept Hagar the Tolerable or Hagar the Functional. But who is Hagar, the man behind the Euro plateau? Hagar first rampaged upon the public consciousness in February 1973. It was a concept that came from the nickname given to the Florida-based creator by his children, the name being Hagar the Terrible. Obviously, this isn't quite as catchy as a good alliteration, and so it was changed to Hagar the Horrible. Now, if you're wondering why I said the creator and not his name in the previous sentence, well, it's because I'm a pathetic child and wanted to say his name on its own with a comedy sound effect played underneath, because his name was Dick Brown. Dick wrote the strip up until 1988, where his failing health forced him into retirement. Soon after, his son, Chris Brown, took up the reins. No, not that Chris Brown. Don't worry, Rihanna. He carried on writing until his passing in 2023. Chris penned the strips, and Gary Hallgreen, the cartoonist, well, he drew the artwork. Hagar is, as you may have guessed, a Viking. His stories tell of his trials and tribulations in the sackings of England and France, along with his struggles at home with his family and first mate, the funnel-wearing Lucky Eddie. His family struggles aren't what you'd expect. Rather than battling death from consumption or losing limbs in battle, Hagar has to deal with the issues of a modern American father. The strip was certainly popular, as huge a success as Garfield and the Peanuts, but it's one that we tend to forget. Hagar was syndicated by King Features, and as of the present day, Hagar features in the newspapers of 56 different countries and has been translated into 12 different languages. In the UK, a lot of us will remember Hagar from his antics in The Sun, the nation's favourite purveyor of half-truths, unless you're from Liverpool, in which case you probably don't know who Hagar is. You've got more chance of finding a Fabergé egg in Poundland. Hagar had a CBS TV special in 1989 which featured Optimus Prime, or if you prefer, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, voice actor Peter Cullen in the lead role. An action movie of Hagar was mooted in both 2003 via Abandoned Pictures and also Sony Pictures in 2014. They both have set up deck chairs in development hell. I don't think we'll be seeing them, at least anytime soon. Most recently, King Features and Jim Henson Productions announced that they were working on an animated sitcom in 2020. This may still have a chance of coming out, I suppose, but things have gone a little bit quiet on that front too. As well as being the 90s mascot of the Cleveland State University Kings, Hagar has appeared in advertising for root beer, cola, and even computers. His most famous advertising appearance here in the UK is probably for Skull beer. You may remember the advert. It went skull, 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 skull. That was profoundly irritating. Sorry. And so, as night follows day, we come to the inevitability of the reason why we're here. The meat of the matter, the roast boar meat of the matter even. The Hagar the Horrible computer game, which was released on the Amiga and the Commodore 64 in 1991. The Commodore 64 version only appeared in Germany, where it was both programmed and published, whereas the Amiga game, which we shall be concentrating on, had a release across Europe. There were apparently also plans for a Spectrum version, but it never appeared. Kingsoft had been around since 1983, producing titles for the Commodore machines as well as a few titles for the Atari computers. They were still producing content up until the latter part of the 90s for the PC market. This computer game remains the only title starring the red-bearded Norseman that you can buy. The plotline is this. Hagar likes nothing more than coming home from a hard day's job of stealing fornication off of maidens and burning dwellings, to a cup of ale and some roast wild pig flesh. However, Hagar, his robustly built wife, is feeling a little bit secondary. To win back her affection, the burly brute must go on a quest to liberate some loot that she would rather like, and then you can return to what passes for marital bliss in a forever violent North European society from days of yore. 8 levels of platform arcade action await our intrepid bruiser. 8 levels of battles, puzzles, looting, and all sorts of Viking daring do. The big fella is equipped with a sword, which is utilised with a quick prod of the old fire button, with a longer press resulting in a more vigorous swipe. But that's not the only thing in his arsenal. There are also 5 additional weapons that can be used with the function keys. Daggers, spears, axes and explosives can be utilised in a sticky situation, with a screen-clearing smart bomb being there like a lovely, violent best friend that kills things in your vicinity, like an XL bully or something. These are topped up via spending in ye old shops, where you can also buy bonus lives. Also accessible are taverns, where Hagar can play dice to win more money to spend on said items, heal some of his health with beer and meat, which according to the NHS probably isn't massively accurate, and giving us an opportunity to see what happens when the lusty worlds of horny Amiga programmers and liberated European attitudes combine. Flagoons of beer aren't the only jugs on display. There are other doorways too, which act as the game's puzzles. These will teleport Hagar hither and dither, which can befuddle the non-alert barbarian. Defeat the 8 bosses and clear the stage, and you'll be able to buy back your wife's affections. A settle back to your slovenly evenings of lounging about, eating meat and drinking beer. Presentation-wise, it is pretty good. The sprites are attractively drawn. Hagar is a very good interpretation of the character from the comics, and the enemies on display are thought-out cartoony goons rather than the violent shapes or inanimate objects that had a stranglehold over the bad guy roles of most Euro platformers. Sound design is humorous, with grunts and body emissions that a person like me, with the maturity of a newly born sparrow, can definitely appreciate. The 8 levels are sizable, challenging and varied, taking 3 discs worth of room. So far it's looking pretty good then, for the hairy Dark Age roughneck. It's very run-of-the-mill to play. It's frighteningly generic, with nothing in the way of new ideas. It's the game equivalent of a rich tea biscuit or a bottle of Volvic water. Functional and bland. There are far better platformers, far more enjoyable Euro platformers even. I tired of it pretty quickly and almost felt guilty for doing so, because it's quite well polished really. It's just that it's a polished cabinet from the range rather than an antique. A shame then. Certainly not Hagar the Horrible, more Hagar the Meh. I'm just hoping that one day Kingsoft will return from the ashes and make a more playable Hagar game, or even better, turn their hand to another comic strip from the sun. How about a joystick waggler featuring the permanently hump-happy pair of George and Lynn? George and Lynn, I bet that's unlocked a memory in one or two of you, huh? See you, Amiga, loved Hagar the Horrible quite a bit more than me. They reviewed it in their January 1991 edition, giving it an 81%. They said it was a fun-to-play platform game, true to the cartoon. Amiga Action were less keen in their review the same month. They said that once the initial excitement of playing a wicked Viking has worn off, the game falls short of other platform titles. Hagar scored a 73% from them. Well, that's enough pillaging for now. How about we look at perhaps the oddest license workaround that I've ever seen, when CRL licensed the Vangelis musical score for Blade Runner, but not the movie. Intrigued? Well, you can probably just look it up right now. Or you can wait. Please wait. I'll be right here in a little while. Like, subscribe, and K, thanks, bye.